Hey everyone, welcome to a three-part series from Pro Engineering. This is going to cover these pretty inexpensive RC car lighting units. They're available on eBay for between $15 and $25. They're really well priced, but the question is, are they any good? And judging by what the dog is doing to the Tamiya one, that might be kind of a giveaway. So I just want to focus on one at a time. I think if I do all three, it'll get kind of messy, considering they can be kind of messy. So this is going to show us which is the best, or maybe the least worst. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we can find a gem in this pile over here. There's a unit by Tamiya here. There's a unit by a company called GT Power, I think it is. And there's this one over here by a company that normally has its name handwritten right here. I don't know who makes this, but the package looks exactly like this. You can find these all over eBay. I think 15 bucks. I found these at retail outlets for like 40. So that's kind of high priced. We're going to focus on this guy here. So let's go ahead and get some electronics and get started. Let's begin with the packaging. This actually is going to tell us where all the wires go. There's kind of a blurb at the back over here that talks about how to install stuff, and overall it's not bad, but the important bit of information is this card right here. So let's go ahead and open this up and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is what you're going to look at straight off the bat. Okay, it's going to tell you what happens while the vehicle is stopped, going forward, turning left, turning right, braking, and going reverse. So the way this works is, here it's showing, while stopped, socket 1 is at 50% brightness. And you can see here, while stopped, socket 2, 3, 4, 5 are all off. Socket 6, 50% brightness. 7 and 8 you can turn on or off. These are going to be important because we're going to use socket 8 later on. What is weird here is, despite what everything says, the board does not work the same way. So let's go ahead and take a look at the board. So this is how the PCB is supposed to look inside of its enclosure. Okay, we're going to use a few of these, not all of them, but I did want to let you know about how well made these are. So this is a normal one. So I own quite a few of these. Here's one of the ones I'd received not long ago. Note the entire socket for number 6 is missing. Now number 6 happens to be used for reverse. So that's a little bit unfortunate, as I did particularly want to use this for a car with reverse, but I'll just have to use it for forward only. But that was interesting. Not the greatest quality control. So this I've had about 2 years. Even the cases have changed a little bit. The plastic's a little different, but that's kind of besides the point. I don't care about the plastic. I care about the PCB. What I want to do is plug this in to the receiver over there and show you how we're going to wire this up. You basically take these Y harnesses that it comes with, and you simply unplug channel 1 and channel 2 from the receiver, plug it into this, and then plug them back into the receiver and plug the other terminals here into the main control unit. Now these do have the Futaba style plug. If you have, again, I'm kind of old school, so I do have a lot of the older style like Airtronics and Aristocraft. You can pull these wires out and reorient them, and then maybe just trim this off here if you do have an Airtronics unit. So you can do that, but they are designed for the standard Futaba plug. I think it's the J style plug, I think it is. It's been a while. So let's take a look. On the box is going to show you channel 1 and channel 2. So let's start with channel 1. I'm going to go ahead and just plug this here into channel 1. Okay, that's plugged into channel 1. This is where channel 1, the servo, is going to plug in, and this is where channel 1 into the receiver is going to go. So let's go ahead and unplug channel 1, plug in this channel 1. This is what's going to tell the control unit if you're turning left or right. It's also going to power the unit. All right, so channel 1 is now going to be responsive. Next, we'll do the same thing here to channel 2. And I found that it really doesn't matter if you plug in the one on the Y or the one on the leading wire into the PCB. I found it does no difference because they they splice into each other. So I normally plug in the longer one to the receiver. That way, when the body is removed, I do have a little more slack. So same thing here. Let's unplug channel 2. Plug in channel 2 there. Plug the speed control directly into this jumper over here. And same thing over here. Let's plug that directly in. All three of the units have the same basic functionality. In this case here, it does have this separate loom. The others, I believe, it's wired directly in. Okay. Now with these in, let's go ahead and plug in some lighting. Now this unit, although it has 8 ports, it does come with 6 leads. What's also unique to this unit is that the turn signals are split up by left and by right, and one port will actually consist of 2 LEDs, so they're wired with a little kind of a Y adapter here. So your left and your rights will be, so these 2 would be left and maybe these 2 would be right. The other ones actually have separate ports for left and for right, for front and for rear, so you have 4 separate ports. This one does not have that that setup. I've never found an issue either where these weren't long enough. I mean, I've wired many cars and these always seem to be sufficient. Now I'm going to turn everything on and see how this behaves. Okay, I'm going to shut the light off here so you can see a little bit better. It appears to be pulsing in the camera, and although it really isn't pulsing badly, there is a slight pulse. It's hardly noticeable. It's super noticeable on the camera. It is not noticeable nearly as much here. I'm just going to mess with the throttle and see what happens, and the steering, same thing over here. I'm going to turn left. Okay, so that one and that one are both flashing. Those 2 there. I'm going to turn right. Same deal right there. Very nice. Now, I'm going to accelerate. And by the way, I do have a motor plugged in simply because I just want you to believe me. And where the heck did the red lights go? Okay, so I'm going to accelerate. Okay, so you see what's happening here? You have this light here. Actually, wait a minute. It's all of these, isn't it? Is it these also? Jesus, it's all 6. God, see, this is what drives me insane. Why can't they just be bright when the car's sitting? Okay, so we have these 2 here, these 2 here, and these 2 here. These are dim when the car's parked. These are off when the car's parked. As I accelerate, and it's not even like as I accelerate a little, wrong ones. It's as I accelerate a considerable amount that they will come back on. Okay. So that's all 6 of these that are brightening. Oh wait, no, these guys aren't, are they? No, they are too. Jeez, okay. So all 6 brighten up. This annoys me because when the car is accelerating, the headlights flash on and off. More importantly, I tend to drive my cars very slow at night. And this means is as I'm kind of putting them along, under light throttle, like this, the headlights are dim. I have to go kind of fast. I'm at about a third throttle right here. Okay, so right there, I'm upset. I don't like that at all. Now let's take a look at how brakes work. So we're accelerating. I hit the brakes. Okay. Now, floored brakes. This tends to happen from time to time where the brakes won't be that responsive when you floor it. It's a matter of the trim setting. You can get these to work very reliably. I've gone ahead and unplugged the motor and the servo now that you believe I'm actually accelerating and whatnot here. So we talked about 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we have 5, 6 to talk about. Let's go ahead and go over those. Number 5, let's take a look at what 5 does. Let's plug something in here. All right, so 5 is on right now. 5 is on right now, and it's telling us it should be off unless you're going backward. Okay, so reverse lights. Let's take a gander. I'm going to floor it. They're on. It's actually, they get brighter when I go forward. How interesting. I hit the brakes. No. Let's go reverse. No, not a thing. Wonderful. That's not working right at all. What I want you to notice is that 5 is trash. Okay, so we're just going to ignore that because it's not doing backward. Now, it's not just this unit that's not working properly. Every single one does that. At this point here, let's take a look at number 6. Number 6 is going to show us that it should be on right now, but it isn't. So let's ignore what socket 6 is right there. Socket 6 is socket 5. It's off constantly except for when you go forward, no. Brake, no. Reverse, wow, there it is. So nothing forward, nothing braking, and reverse. Okay, do you see that? So 6 is actually what 5 shows here. Let's just, for a moment, notice how flashing is yellow. Okay, turn signals. Do you see anything flashing on 7? I don't. Let's plug in this white. Let's accelerate. Interesting. Hit the brakes and reverse. Okay. Let's hit the dip switch over here. Accelerate. If you're building a police car, there are your sirens. However, I'm not. Let's unplug these. So for 7, it's not really working for me. Lastly, we have 8. Now we saw that the brake light number 6 socket behaved like number 5. Number 5 seemed to have mocked us altogether. 7 did flashing. 8 has to be our guy, and it just so happens that it is. I've got the dip switch set to on, and what that means is when I accelerate, the lights are off. When I hit the brakes, the lights are on. If I set the dip switch to on, that is kind of a cool thing. Brakes are on, accelerate, they're dim. Brake, accelerate. Brake. Okay, you see that? Now, if I hit reverse, these are still dim, and our reverse lights are on. We now see the fundamentals of how this unit works. You can see it's really kind of confusing. What you don't know is the probably 25 takes I did ahead of time because I thought I had it right, even though I've installed many of these. They're just so confusing. Also, with an older radio, this case here, it's a 75 megahertz radio, they can have some kind of little bit of inconsistency. Ballpark it. If you ballpark how it's working, you've got it right. A more modern 2.4 gigahertz system is a lot crisper, and you're not going to have these issues. Also, I found that using this speed control, which again is probably older than many of you watching this video, it has a reverse delay, and that seems to act up with the electronics, so that could be an issue as well. Stick with the basics, and this is going to work just fine. You may have liked channel 1 and channel 2, how their behavior was, and that's great. That is awesome. If you're running full throttle the whole time, who cares? I don't. I'm kind of a slow driver, so I did not appreciate that very much, so I wire in my own headlights. This is all leading up to the final part of the Willys Wheeler build, where I do wire everything and install one of these units. So before I take off, I do have some stuff coming up very shortly. Here is my fast attack vehicle. You can see that it is less of a fast attack vehicle and more of a let's go cruising down the beach vehicle. The fast attack vehicle used to have just a injection molded headlight. You can see here that now it's hollow. Guess what's happening there? So the headlights are being upgraded. Here's my Ampro bumper, which does fit the fast attack vehicle. Let's look at the rear. A little bit more interesting back here. Taillights, same kind of setup here. The taillights are being upgraded and made operational as well. There's going to be a couple of versions. One's a little more, beach friendly, let's say. The other is very, very stock looking. And you'll be looking at this motor here. I cannot take credit for this motor. This motor was designed by Knight Customs. It's a beautiful engine. It just kind of sits on top of the stock gearbox and kind of tidies it up. I did, however, make a slight modification to it. The air cleaners are quite nice, but in order to make this less expensive to print. It's made out of a very standard SLS nylon. It's the selective laser sintered nylon. Those of you who've seen my channel know that almost everything I make is with that material. However, for the air cleaners, I wanted a little bit more detail, so I made this little guy here, which has got the actual vents. It's got a little more detail than you can tell. It's a little dirty right now, but it actually does have a little lip here, right around the edge, so it's really easy to paint. And this is going to be available out of a very high detail plastic, so that you can get that additional detail that this motor here, deserves. So that'll be available soon. I've got a lot more stuff with the Fast Attack also, so we'll cover that later on. For now, I am tired of talking about those lights. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please stay tuned for part 2, which will be the next video, probably covering the Tamiya version. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe and like this video if you liked it. If you have any questions, please go ahead and leave a question. I'll do my best to answer it. Again, these can be kind of confusing. You might want to hold off until the third video, until you actually purchase one. I already know which the winner is, but some of these may have features that you prefer over the others. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask away, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you again. Please add me on Facebook as well as Instagram and Pro Engineering on both. And also check out the band Blue Pinto. Their website is at the end of this video. A fantastic group. Go ahead and support your local artists. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.